Hey everybody, welcome to patch 14.8 review. This patch should be live or nearly live by the time this video uploads. So if you're watching this video, everything here should be live. As always, just go ahead and listen to this as a podcast as we talk about everything going into patch 14.8. What's going on in patch 14.8? What do I think about that? What is happening here? Well, let's look at it. Okay. So first up, and probably importantly, I haven't really talked about this, but you know, now it's getting worryingly close to being live, is the Vanguard deployment. That's right, Vanguard is being deployed first in the Philippines for this patch, but next patch, at this time we're planning to turn on Vanguard for all regions except China, starting with patch 14.9 next patch. So Vanguard has been delayed for about nearly 3 months now, and they are finally intending to push it live. Vanguard is a controversial program that I'm not going to get that much into now, but I haven't really talked about it so much over the years because, you know, I just do patch note videos. So I try, you know, if I do a video on Vanguard, I'll talk about Vanguard, but I try to keep like my videos focused on a topic. But, you know, here we go. Vanguard's coming in for Philippines this patch and for everyone else next patch. So what do we got going on in this patch? Okay, we've got nerfs to Azir, Brier, Zac, Zeri. God, tell me if you've seen this before. I 3 out of 4 of these I feel like have been, oh my god, dude, like I haven't even played a lot of League lately, and like, dude, I feel like I don't miss anything. I just show up, oh wow, they're nerfing Azir, Brier, and Zeri. Who could have seen that coming? We got big buffs to Alii, Draven, Gallo, Graves, Hwai, Jarvan, Jhin, Kaisa, LeBlanc, Olaf, Ryze, Sylas, and Thresh. Amazing, awesome. Well, I'll talk about each champion individually and why that is a great idea to definitely buff these champions. First up, we have Alii. Alii is getting 30 more base HP from 570 up to 600. That's a lot of base HP. That's a lot of base HP at this point. We're raising Alii's early game health to help her get to her mid to late game state more consistently. Her base health was uncharacteristically low compared to other champions, so this should help her be more in line with her peers. Right, the reason her base health was low, if you guys didn't know this, was because her kit basically never allows you to actually counter her. Like, the problem is, because her kit just basically invalidates all melee against her, melee characters can't really ever fight back against her. She needs to have really low base armor and really low base HP to try to like force her to be like tradable with, because if she doesn't have low HP and low armor, then well, if I'm playing like a melee character, I can't really ever trade with her. So they're giving her back some HP, and because this was a nerf, if you guys have been playing this long, they did nerf down her base HP a couple years ago because they were deliberately trying to make it so Alii didn't automatically win every all-in, therefore win every trade. So, okay. Azir, oh boy, let's talk about Azir for a second. So Riot decided to allow Azir to proc on hit effects. Now, what did that do? It was obviously an amazing change that allowed him to scale better with Nashor's Tooth, which has had absolutely no downsides whatsoever. You can hear me typing. Pretend you can't hear me typing right now. Pretend, oh no. Okay, so Riot, in their infinite goddamn stupidity, decided to allow his Sand Soldiers to apply on hits. Did that improve the game? Is the game now better off for it? No, now his 2 most blatantly popular keystones are Fleet Footwork and Grasp the Undying. What does that do? Well, apparently, when your 2 most popular keystones are now keystones you can use to poke the crap out of your enemy and heal and get HP in the early game, his base health regen is needed to go from 7 down to 3.5. And will this stop him from being picked in pro play at the high ranks? Probably not, because the problem is Riot doesn't seem to actually understand what they're doing anymore, and this is honestly one of the biggest reasons I'm finally dropping my interest in this game, dude. They just keep making changes that are so obviously stupid, and then they double down on them, and then they just like spent this entire season trying to fix stupid decisions that they made. It's like they do something really stupid and then they just spend all their life, all their time just goes into defending their stupid change. Nothing else improves, nothing gets better. It's like every patch there's maybe 1 or 2 changes that aren't stupid change being enforced, and then everything else is just stupid changes. So here we go. Yes, Azir definitely needed to proc on hits on his Sand Soldiers. It's definitely healthy for him to be able to proc on hits consistently 1,000 spaces away from you. Yes, proccing on hits at Azir's Q level without even needing to hit a skill shot is definitely a gameplay improvement, and I can't imagine why there were any possible consequences for that amazing change. It blows my mind that it could have happened. A consequence for a stupid action. And then the base damage on his Sand Soldiers is going from 50 to 118 to 50 to 110. So 8 less damage at rank 5 for his Sand Soldiers. Brier. Tell me if you've seen this one before. Brier in the patch notes. Who could imagine making a ludicrously low skill champion would make her, to quote her, Brier continues to be very strong in low skill levels. Really? Does she? Does she continue to be very strong in low skill levels? Could there be any reason for that? Could there be any reason for, in 2024, for a champion to exist or have been created newly that is as complicated as like old Warwick before we reworked him? Because for the life of me, I can't really understand why would we release a champion who, under the rules of champion reworks, already deserves to be reworked. Like, a champion so stupid for the game that on release it's already in an area where we should be reworking them to balance the game, right? Like, why are we doing that? That's so stupid. Okay. So her base health, her health growth is going down by 5. Now we are increasing the range of her gap closer, stun, armor shred, magic resist shred ability. Her gap closer, stun, her point and click gap closer, stun, armor shred, magic resist shred ability is going to get more range. Now personally, I don't really know why this could be an issue, that a gap closer, point and click gap closer, stun, armor shred, magic resist shred ability is a bit of a balance issue, but we're increasing its range because that's definitely a good idea. Then we're nerfing the attack speed bonus on her W from 54 to 110 to 55 to 95, so 15% less attack speed at rank 5. Is this gonna be it? Is this finally the nerf that makes Brier balanced? Is this it, guys? Is Brier finally gonna be balanced after this one? I don't know. Who can say, really? Who can say? At this point, does anyone care about Brier? Like, I'm sure Brier players do, because like, oh, it's my favorite champion. But like, why did we release a champion who already needed to be reworked? Why did we do that? And I know most new champions are getting reworked these days, but like, the thing is, K'Sante needed to be reworked to like remove some of the crap from his kit, right? Brier needs to be reworked into a different champion. Like, Brier needs to be reworked and have her abilities readdressed, right? Like, it's stupid. It's just a waste of all our time that this champion ever even got added into the game. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. This was a complete waste of our time. This was just someone's Genshin Impact fetish being put into the game, and like, they couldn't think of a good kit for it, so they said, screw it. What if it's just old Warwick? Ugh. Draven's being buffed? Why is Draven being buffed? Good question. Seriously, why is Draven being buffed? I went ahead and looked, and let's go ahead and double check this. If you look at Masters Plus, Draven is currently the most banned champion in the game. Literally the most banned champion in the game at Masters Plus. So they're buffing him. His Q damage is going up by 5. Now, is this going to be enough to push him into pro play? Of course not. No pro play team is going to swap around their picks for MSI. And this is the MSI patch, by the way. So if you're wondering why I'm so salty, it's because Riot decided patch 14.8 should totally screw up the game. It should totally screw up the game so MSI is more interesting to watch. The entire game should be shittier so that MSI is more interesting to watch. But will MSI be more interesting? I don't even know. I sure shit don't watch MSI. I just tried to enjoy the game. I tried to, at any rate, enjoy the game. But I guess pro play is more important than not pro play. Yay. So, Draven's getting buffed despite being literally the most banned champion in the game. So like, good job, Riot. Like, honestly, you guys are incredible. Like, what an incredible company. Absolute masters of their craft. Like, good. I have no further comment. No further comment. Gallo is being buffed. Why is Gallo being buffed? Well, if you guys have been watching my videos, I keep saying this, so I have to continue to say it. Riot is so goddamn stupid, they didn't do basic math. I'm sorry, by the way, if I'm complaining a lot here, but there's no other way to say this. Like, I can't put this in, like, if I want to be objective and I want to be truthful, like, I have to say it like this. Riot can't do basic math. They for some reason do not do basic math. And when they reworked Gallo a bit ago, or I shouldn't say, it wasn't like a total rework, but they reworked his ability, right? And when they did that, they did not do basic math needed to understand that this was a nerf, that this W change was like a huge nerf. They didn't do basic goddamn math to decide that it was a nerf. If you input the numbers from what items he built, you would understand it was a nerf. They didn't do basic, like, literally bring out calculator on your computer. I'm not even talking run the numbers in your head. I'm saying literally just bring out a calculator and be like, 800. Sorry. It would be, right, it would just be 600 times 10%. Right? Like, they didn't even do shit like that, right? Like, man. So, at any rate, they ended up massively nerfing Gallo, and now he's just kind of a crap pick. He went from being like a funny Lichbane one-shot champion, which is surely not good. You don't want funny Lichbane one-shot champion, but he went from that to being like a champion who, like, can I look at this? Yeah, like, his pick rate went down, and his pick rate is still not recovered, and his win rate is barely over 50%. So, like, they basically took a champion who had a viable build. They didn't like it, and I agree. We should have reworked him to have that build. That build was toxic. Lichbane Gallo was toxic. But, like, they didn't input the basic numbers into the game in order to determine whether or not it was a buff. And I'm kind of getting really, like, it's like I'm over it, dude. It's like, I don't know a better way to put it. It's like I'm just over it as a player. Like, oh wow, Riot didn't do basic math again. Once again, they didn't do the bare goddamn minimum for their job. They didn't do literally the simplest fucking thing that a human being could do before releasing shit. Oh wow, that's crazy. Like at a certain point, like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? Like, should I make an excuse for them? Should I be like, oh, they were just drunk that day? Graves. Why is Graves being buffed? Because every other jungler got buffed. That's it. Every other jungler in the game got buffed, so it's kind of like leapfrog, right? Riot leapfrogged a lot the last like 3 or 4 years, then said they were going to stop doing it, and now they're back to leapfrogging again. So basically, here's what happened. Here's the most powerful jungler, right? Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Like, I can't. Okay, so it's like, okay, here's the most powerful jungler in the game. And then they put out the new most powerful jungler. They're like, leap. And then they need to go, no, now the old most powerful jungler in the game needs a buff. Leap. And then like, oh no, now this guy needs a buff. Leap. Oh no, now this guy needs a buff. Leap. So here's what's happening with Graves. Graves used to be one of the most powerful junglers in the game, if not the most powerful jungler outright. And now he's getting buffed. Why is he being buffed? Because we buffed everyone else. We buffed all the other junglers, so now we need to go buff Graves. Like, that's just how it works, right? Like, if we look at junglers, and we look at, let's go Masters Plus. I'm not even going to look at win rate. Let's just look at pick rate. How many of these champions have been buffed? Diana's been buffed, Talia's been buffed, Lee Sin's been buffed, Nidalee's been buffed. Oh no, you say, Graves is falling out. We need to buff him. I think the only champion here that hasn't been buffed, like, extremely recently is Viego, right? Yeah, Viego is the only champion that has not been directly buffed. He has received some bug fixes, but he's the only champion that hasn't been directly buffed recently. Every other champion in the top 5 and even the top 6 has been directly buffed in recent memory. Even Kindred, didn't Kindred get buffed as well? So it's literally just a game of leapfrog. Like, it's boring because it's just like I've seen this. Like, I do patch notes every 2 weeks, right? And I see this and I go, oh, they're leapfrogging junglers again. Like, it's so predictable to me. I'm gonna make a bingo. Honestly, one of these days I'm gonna finally have enough and I'm just gonna make a bingo sheet and I'm gonna start playing Riot Games dumbass bingo. And every week every single week, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna start crossing it off. In fact, honestly, honest to God, I might actually just go do this because like it's so predictable. Oh, here's another bingo sheet. Riot buffing a funny mid laner. What would I put this on the bingo sheet? Riot buffing a champion for pro play who's already totally fine. Although I would have hit bingo on that one with Draven, right? So here's another one. Another champion who's totally fine who we're buffing for pro play. Now, what do I mean by that? If we look at why, he is currently the #2 most picked mid laner at Masters Plus with an 18% ban rate. Even if we go down to like Emerald, he's still the third most picked mid laner. 49% win rate, 16% ban rate. 49% win rate is totally fine for a champion like Kwai. Like, sorry, but yeah, 49% is about where he should be. So what are we doing? We're buffing him. So, we're going to go ahead and buff Y. And what are we buffing? A small little thing, maybe a little bit of HP, you know, something like that. No. We're going to buff his passive. Now, I did look at this since I did my last video on the preview. Yes, Y's passive is whenever he hits a character, the next ability he uses on them leaves an AoE under them. Meaning, yes, this is his AoE ability that allows him to AoE down entire teams. Is this some sort of like giga buff that will suddenly convince every team to play Y? No. Is this a win rate buffer? Is this a way to increase the champion's win rate for absolutely no reason? Yes, and his win rate will be increased for absolutely no reason. Jarvan's being buffed. Okay. Why is Jarvan being buffed? At this point, it's because we've leapfrogged the jungles so goddamn hard. But I don't think Jarvan's like particularly underpowered. I don't think he's like good. I don't think he's like insanely underpowered. So like this buff is fine. They're just pushing his passive back from 6% to 7%, which is fine. Like honestly, it's like he is a little bit underpowered and they're giving him a little bit of a buff, so it's like fine. But like truthfully, I don't think they should be buffing him to begin with. I don't think they should be buffing any jungler to begin with. I think the best way to increase the win rate on champions like Jarvan, I know I said this last year and they were like pretty good at this, at actually like doing this, but now they've gone back to their old ways, right? The problem is every single patch they need to nerf junglers. Whoever is like the current top 3 junglers should be nerfed, and they should do that for about 5 patches until they get junglers back to where they were, because all we're doing now is we're playing leapfrog. Because the thing is, only one team can win a game and only one team can lose a game. So jungler on average will have a 50% win rate. Crazy, right? So every time you buff a jungler, if I buff Jarvan, it will slightly reduce the win rate on every other jungler. It might not be by a lot, but maybe it'll be 0.01%, right? So the problem is every time you buff a jungler, you're reducing the win rate on every other jungler. So inevitably, if you buff enough junglers, you'll have to continuously buff every other jungler. If you buff enough junglers, the 49% win rate champions become 48. Then you buff them. Then the 49% champions become 48. Then you buff them again. Then the 50% champions are somehow down to 48%. So then you have to buff them. Then the 52% win rate champions are down to 49%. Oh no, now we need to buff Graves, right? Like you said, okay. Jin's being buffed. It's not that big a deal. Yeah. So basically, the bonus movement speed on a critical hit is going from 10% to 14%. A little bit frustrating because like the game is at such a power creep stage right now. Like there's so much power creep in the game for mobility. I should say mobility creep. There's so much mobility creep in the game right now with so many champions stacking movement speed that it's kind of annoying that we're going to get another champion who's going to be running around with Ghost with his passive just zoom zoom. I know da fast meme, he's da fast and it, haha funny meme, but like it is kind of annoying. It is kind of annoying to add even more movement into the item, even if it's on a champion who's slightly underperforming. Then his Q is getting more AD ratio, from 35 to 65% to 44 to 74%. Base damage is going down by 1, so it's 44 to 144 because funny 4 meme. Okay, Kaisa's getting buffed. Why is Kaisa getting buffed? That should be my bingo card. Kaisa getting buffed despite already being an extremely high pick rate. That's on my bingo card. Okay, so what's going on with Kaisa? Okay. Kaisa's win rate is low. Why? Kaisa's win rate is always low. Because Kaisa is a dedicated int button that people press all the time for some reason. Despite being the 3rd most picked champion, she has a 48% win rate. Now, Riot's not giving her some like giga huge mega buff. They're pushing her Q from 50% AD to 55%. Not that big a deal, not really. Still a bit annoying though. Still a bit annoying though that they're deciding to you know, buff her, because I just don't like. I think if a champion is ever in the top 3, you should just never buff them no matter what. If a champion is in the top 3, there's a reason there's in the top 3. Now at all ranks, sure, you can make the argument people just like the champion and they're just playing them. But at Masters Plus, if a champion enters the top 3, then you do not need to buff them ever. No champion in the top 3 should ever be buffed. Ever. Ever. That should just be like a general rule. That should just be, unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, because it's just a good rule. No, if you're in the top 3, you should never get buffed. LeBlanc's being buffed again. Her Q's going up by 5 base damage, and then her distortion is going down at the early ranks by 3 seconds. So instead of 18 to 10, it's 15 to 10. So I don't think that's a good idea either. Okay, so the problem is Riot refuses to fix AD LeBlanc completely. The issue is that, like, no one wants to talk about the biggest issue with AD LeBlanc fundamentally is that no melee champion can fight AD LeBlanc. No champion can fight LeBlanc if you're melee, right? Now AP LeBlanc, you can generally get enough magic resist and her damage will be limited enough that, like, AP LeBlanc you can tank through and try and force a split push, but AD LeBlanc, through the merits of being AD, can continuously harass you out of lane, then start scaling, you know, snowballing on you, taking your turrets, etc. AP LeBlanc is much harder to harass you out of lane with. In neither case can, like, you actually fight back against LeBlanc, but AP LeBlanc can run out of mana and, you know, doesn't have unlimited giga ranged harass, right? So they've never fixed this champion fully, and they've never made melee actually able to play against her because funny LCS outplays, even though she doesn't even get picked in LCS anymore. So kind of amusing that. Anyway, I'm a bit worried because every time AD LeBlanc comes back, what does that mean? Like, when you think about it in, like, purely like the amount of time it consumes out of my life, let's say each game takes me about an hour to play the game, to play through dodges, to queue up, etc. Maybe not entirely an hour, but you get the idea, right? So 5 games, I'll be lenient, I'll say 5 games take me 4 hours. Okay, if Riot buffs LeBlanc and AD LeBlanc becomes viable again, then it's wasting 4 hours out of my life that I have to spend fighting AD LeBlanc on that patch, because it'll be about 5 games on that patch that I have to fight her, and that's if I don't play that much, mind you. So if, like, AD LeBlanc goes super top tier and I have to fight her a lot, then Riot's basically saying, we made this funny change because we have some LeBlanc streamers that want her to be top tier, so we made this change again, and oops, AD LeBlanc is dominant again. Okay, Kaisa. Now I want everyone to understand here for a second. They're listing this change under an adjustment. This is an adjustment. I just want it to be clear. This is not a buff. This is not a buff. We are adjusting Mord. We are not buffing him. We are adjusting him. I want everyone to understand that word because sorry, I opened up Pandora on accident. That's not a Pandora's box meme, just Pandora the music program. Yeah. So I just want everyone to be clear, this is not a buff, this is an adjustment. How are they adjusting him? His Q cooldown is going down from 9 to 5 to 8 to 4. Sorry, from 9 to 4 to 8 to 4. So less cooldown at rank 1 to 4. Same cooldown at rank 5. His E damage is going down by 10. Okay, this is a trade-off. 10 less damage on his E, but his Q cooldown goes down early game. And now his ultimate can no longer be removed by cleanses. Boy, what a trade-off. You can no longer use, let's see here, QSS, Mercurial Scimitar, Alistar's ultimate, Gangplank's W, Milio's ultimate, Olaf's ultimate, or Rengar's W to cleanse his ultimate. Now, I should specify here, as they do, if you go immune to CC before he casts his ultimate, or I should say while he's casting his ultimate, you will immune it. So things like Ornn's W and Olaf's ult will still immune his ult, so long as you cast it before it goes off. Does everybody get that? Okay. So reasonably, any Olaf who's not a complete raving lunatic will be able to cast ult before Mord ults. Everybody get that? Okay. So this is a trade-off. This is obviously not a pure buff. It's a big trade-off here. He's losing 10 damage on his E in return for a buff on his Q, in return for one of the largest buffs his ultimate could possibly receive. It's a trade-off though. Like, you know, he might be able to trap the AD carry with him and build Omen to ensure they can never possibly win the fight. He might be able to always do that now and never have QSS or anything able to remove it at all. But hey man, he's got 10 less damage on his E that he's gonna miss anyway because Mord players can't hit shit. Olaf is getting more damage to monsters with his Q. I'm genuinely curious, is Olaf jungle even taking off? Is this like even a thing? No, it's not. So all they're trying to do is like weirdly nerf Olaf out of top lane, which is like fine, I guess. He's like a really hard counter pick to certain champions, but they're weirdly trying to like force him in the jungle when he's just not really a good jungler. Sorry to say, but Olaf is just really not that good of a jungler. Like in modern league, he has no way to go over walls. He has no way to free cheese kills. Like Lee Sin has ward hop ultimate. You know, like Jarvan has his ultimate, Brier is the one shot, Diana's got her ultimate, right? Like, but Olaf has no way to just be like, I am behind you, and now for that, you are dead. Like, he doesn't have any way to just say, you are dead now. Okay, so Ryze is getting buffed. I'm not sure how I entirely feel about it. It's not like the end of the world. It's not, you know what I mean? Ryze hasn't been good in years and years, so it's not like I care that much, right? It's like he's got like a threat meter, right? His threat meter is drained completely out because it's been years since this champion has been a problem. So his W cooldown is going from 13 to 9 to 11 to 9, so he'll be able to harass with his W significantly more often, and the slow is going from 35 to 50%. So this does seem to be a change deliberately made to enforce him in top lane more often. I think though that this isn't really gonna, like, in my opinion, I don't think this is gonna like make him overbearing in top lane. I think it's been a good long time since like he's been overbearing in top lane, and I don't see this being the change. Like, it's a good change. Well, I mean, good being, you know, somewhat, what's the way to put it? It is definitely a change. Okay. Is it good for the game? It's good for him, but you know, let's say it's a buff. This is definitely, let me rephrase this, because it's like I'm sitting here with like my wording thinking, should I word it that way? I'm spending way too much time thinking about my wording, and I'm not spending enough time actually just doing this video. So basically, Rune Prism is a buff. This is a buff. It does screw over melee characters. It does allow him to lane into melee characters better, right? But is this going, like, does this change now make him able to go top lane and beat down melee characters? Probably not, especially because against melee, the majority of the time he's turning Rune Prism into a root anyway, and he's not just using it for a slow. Yes, at level 1 he uses it for a slow just to like harass you. At level 2 he still uses it for a slow to harass you, and definitely the lower cooldown will allow him to do that more often. The thing is, pretty much every ranged champion can get priority early game anyway, so him being able to get priority is not really that big a deal. On to Scarner. Lots of words here. I already looked at this on like the preview, so let me try to go through it. Okay, so they're trying to nerf Scarner top and bring up Scarner jungle. I looked at it last time. Let me look at Scarner jungle. Yeah, Scarner jungle is just like not a thing. Scarner top is doing fine. Scarner jungle is not doing fine. Scarner top needs nerfs. Scarner jungle needs buffs, like really hard. I didn't really think that was going to be how it is, but I guess that's just how his kit played out. You guys can go back to the video. I really, when I first looked at all of Scarner's abilities, I really didn't think he was going to come out and be a top laner. I really didn't see that one happening. So this is kind of took me off guard here. But what are they doing here? So his mana growth is going down. That's his mana per level is going from 45 down to 40. His mana regeneration is going up. So the higher level he is, the less flat mana he has, but the more mana regeneration he will have. His Q is getting a damage per hit increase. Okay, they changed this since the last time I looked at him. Wait, what? Wait, what? Since the last time I looked at this champion, these are different. Okay, so his Q is getting a damage buff, Is this a Riot can't do basic math situation? His Q damage per hit from 10 to 50 to 10 to 70, from a 40% AD ratio to a 60% AD ratio. The mana cost is going down. The buff duration is going up. The lockout time before you can recast it is going down. The cast time is going down. His W mana cost is going up by 10. His W magic damage is going down by 10 to 30. Okay, so we're talking about a champion. Right after the rework, he's almost 50% win rate in top lane. That's quite overpowered. Let me just be clear on that one, okay? So this champion is quite overpowered in top lane right now. And their reaction to him being very, very overpowered. Let me just double check this. His most powerful move to max first is W. Okay, so he maxes W first, and that's his strongest way to be played. Okay, and you can see his win rate if you max W is 52%, which on patch day, that 52% includes all the people who had no idea how to play him day one, who just busted him out and ranked at like a 20% win rate. Okay, just to be clear on that one, okay? So we're talking about a champion who currently has probably adjusted like a 56-57% win rate if you ignore the first week of people who learned how to play the champion. Like his win rate has gone up by 2% in the last like couple of days anyway. Like it's very clear that this champion is very overpowered. So this champion is so overpowered that they're readjusting his mana slightly, reducing the mana on his Q, they're reducing the mana on his Q, increasing the mana on his W, but here's the thing, the reduction on the mana on his Q equals out to the increase of the mana on his W. Then, for some goddamn reason, they're reducing the damage on his W by 10 to 30, which is a good nerf, that's like a good nerf, but then they're increasing the damage on his Q at rank 5 by 20. Now here's the thing to keep in mind here, that 40% bonus AD to 60% bonus AD, that affects rank 1 anyway. Does that make sense to you guys? So like, if you're at rank 1, you're getting 20% more AD on your Q just for existing, just for picking the champion. You're getting that. And now I'm not saying that Scarner is building AD, right? Like I'm not saying that, but like I am saying that this is not the total overall nerf that Riot seems to think it is. So this seems to be a situation of Riot can't do basic math. If you notice a jump cut right here, it's because I cut out me sitting here and like thinking about this for a bit. I think we've definitely entered a situation of Riot can't do basic math. Riot literally cannot do basic math. That is all I can think of. I literally have absolutely no other explanation whatsoever. Riot very clearly does not seem capable of doing basic math. Now, let me be clear here. Reducing the cast time on his Q, reducing the reset time on his Q, increasing the buff duration on his Q, reducing the mana cost on his Q, do those all equal out to his W nerf? Yeah, actually, that seems to pretty much equal out to the nerf. That seems to pretty much equal out to the nerf on his W, and I'm not really sure what in the actual hell they were thinking with this one. So, okay. Put this down on the card, guys. Put this down. Do you have bingo? Do you have bingo, guys? This is very much, in my opinion, Riot can't do basic math bingo. I don't know if they didn't have time or something. Were they busy? Were they playing, you know, like, I don't even know, were they playing video games all day or something? Were they all busting out their WoW expansion shit? I don't know. I literally don't know. But here we go, and it very much does seem that, yep, here we go. Riot can't do basic math. A champion with, like, adjusted, at the very least, probably around 55% win rate, is getting a side grade. I promise you this next patch. So when this patch is live, like I promise you, top laners, this dude is gonna have like a 55% win rate. Maybe not that much actually. With his mana at least getting like hurt a little bit, we're probably looking at, oh boy, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I'm gonna say 53%. 53% feels good for me. 54% maybe. Maybe. It really depends on a lot of different factors. I think at the very least 52 is where he would be. Maybe 53, definitely 54 is in the realm of possibility. It really depends on how good people can get at Scarner. I'm gonna say 53. That just feels like a good number to me, to say he's gonna be 53% win rate. So that's my final guess. My final guess is 53%. Maybe not at the low ranks, but definitely at the high ranks. At Masters Plus, he's probably gonna reach 54%. I think in the mid ranks, maybe 53. Maybe 52 at the low ranks, somewhere around there. That's my guesstimation. At either rate, I think Riot can't do basic math, and I think they're just straight up. Well, because here's the problem: they're updating his recommended items and his recommended rune pages. Something that a lot of people don't know: when Riot does stuff like this, it tends to actually massively increase the champion's win rate. It tends to massively increase the champion's win rate because people actually start building that champion properly. And when people actually start building a champion properly, shockingly, they do a lot better. The difference between a bad build and a good build can be like the difference between you going up and down an entire division. For example, if you play Skarner bad, you might be platinum. If you play Skarner good, you could go all the way up to diamond. Like if you actually start building him well and you start ruining him well, yeah, I mean, that's the difference. I don't think people have realized it throughout all the different videos and stuff I've talked about. The difference between building and ruining a champion good and bad is a big difference, especially like ability orders, stuff like that. Okay, Sylas is getting his Q explosion damage to monsters increased from 70% to 100%. Why? I don't know. I think they just want Sylas to be a flex pick. I don't, like, once again, I don't think Sylas is like a bad champion. So I don't really understand why they are like, I don't think Sylas mid is like bad, so I don't know why they are like trying to push Sylas jungle so hard, because I just don't think that's a good idea. Boy, I'm getting tired of saying this stuff, so like it's like if I start skipping past this or like shorthanding it, you can understand, because it's like it gets exhausting for me. For like 2 times a week I have to say the same goddamn thing again. So like let's go through this. Okay, if a champion is balanced in lane, buffing their jungling will buff that champion, because jungle, like laners will sometimes jungle. Sylas mid could help with Rift Herald, he could help with Grubs, he could help with Dragon, he could help with Baron, he could go steal jungle, he could help leash, right? Like buffing jungling for a champion inevitably does buff that champion, even if they're not jungling. Okay, so if a champion is perfectly balanced and even good in mid lane, then buffing their ability to jungle just makes them a better champion. For example, let me actually double check here. Just, oh boy, their website is having issues. Okay, so if you go look at it, yeah, like Sylas's overall average win rate has gone up by about 0.2% since the last Q buff. Is that insane? Is that incredible? No, obviously not. Like it was a little tiny boost. It helped him a little, right? But the thing is, now with that last buff, now with this buff, we're talking about a buff in total that maybe has risen his win rate by like 0.3, 0.4%. Doesn't seem that amazing until you think about it, and he goes from like the low 50% win rate to the high 50% win rate. So now he's gone from a champion who's like pretty well balanced to now like, if a good item comes out for him, or if someone finds a new build for him or something like that, now his win rate can just skyrocket. And here's the other problem. It's like, what's fun for a champion? If I'm playing Sylas, is it fun for me to be really good at destroying the jungle, or is it fun for me to heal more on my W? It's probably more fun for me, the Sylas player, to heal more on my W than it is for me to be able to just destroy Barons really quickly because my Q does 500 base damage to Baron, right? Like, obviously for me, that's more fun for me to heal more, right? But now Sylas is going to have to be balanced from now on the fact that he can utterly destroy objectives probably harder than other mages. And that's kind of odd. It's like how Darius now needs to be balanced on the fact that his bleed does giganormous damage to jungle. Jax needs to be balanced on the fact that his counter-strike does like 400 damage to jungle monsters now, right? Like it's a whole thing. I'm just gonna I've gone over it so many times. Okay, Thresh doesn't seem to be particularly overpowered. They're making him tankier. Not much to talk about. Moving on. Zac is being nerfed. Not much to talk about here, but I'm just going to share my thoughts anyway. Zac isn't overpowered. They just don't like how like people are safe picking him in like pro play, so they're nerfing him. Do they care about solo queue? No, obviously not. They just want top laners to pick a champion, then get counter picked. That's fine. Like in their mind, getting counterpicked in top lane makes the game more fun to watch, more cool, more interesting. Oh my god, you got counterpicked in top lane? That's cool. The game is more interesting now. Yay, right? So like if they see a top laner safe picking a champion to not have a miserable experience, it's like they're just the police and they're blowing their goddamn top lane whistle like woo, woo, like that man's not having a miserable experience. Get him. Zeri's being nerfed. Is anyone shocked? Is anyone shocked? Is anyone shocked? Is anyone sitting here like, oh wow, Zeri got nerfed after she got buffed? Oh geez, that's so crazy. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so Baron is getting buffed. Let's see. Most of his abilities look to be getting buffed. Okay, so acid pool magic damage is going up by 200. That's actually a good bit. The pull damage is going from 75 to 300. Okay. Hunting Baron lightning magic damage is going from 15% current HP to 20%. Okay. These are pretty big buffs. Acid shot magic damage is going from 20% AD to 200 plus 50% AD. Okay. Tentacle knockup damage is going from 25% AD to 200 plus 20. Oh man, but those tentacles are undodgeable, dude. Those tentacles, I think if you put them in Dark Souls, you wouldn't even be able to dodge roll them. Those tentacles are goddamn undodgeable, dude. Okay, this is a big buff to Baron. You guys do note this. Write this down in your little notebook. Wowee. This makes Baron way more damaging. I thought they were gonna like add like 10, 30, 40 damage to Baron and be done with it, something like that. I wasn't expecting them to just like jackhammer all his abilities and be like, yes, Tentacle now does 200 plus 25% of his AD. So like Tentacle right now does like 50 damage. Now it's gonna go up to like 250. Oh man. So Void Groves are being changed a little bit. Okay. Their spawn time's going from 5 minutes to 6 minutes, so you can no longer split them with Dragon. They should now spawn out of order with Dragon, so there's more team fighting, I guess. Then instead of needing 5 to spawn the Voidling against turrets and stuff like that, you now need 4. So if you get 2 on the first wave, 2 on the second wave, you now get the Voidling spawn. And now the damage to turrets is going from 6 to 8. So if you definitely get a lot of grubs, you will be obliterating turrets right now, which is definitely an interesting change. Definitely an interesting change. Okay. ARAM changes, quick play. I heard Arena was coming back. I might play more League once Arena comes back. That'd be pretty cool. Rengar Q and Empowered Q now apply critical strike modifiers from items. Okay, so Rengar can now use Infinity Edge. It's not really a quality of life update, that's kind of just an actual buff. Like Rengar's Q and Empowered Q now scale with Infinity Edge instead of ignoring it. Like that seems like a buff. Okay. Fix a bug that caused more Kaiser's passive to gain stacks for dodged auto attacks. Now I'm wondering, this is actually like a really big deal here. I'm wondering if that includes Shen, because dodge, to my knowledge, dodge should only be Nyla. Dodge should only be Nyla and Jax. Shen doesn't dodge, he blocks. So he probably still gets stacks on Shen, but he probably doesn't get stacks on Jax and Nyla anymore, if I had to guess. You know, this makes sense to me because I don't remember Baron's pull doing damage at all. So Baron's pull is going from doing no damage at all because it was bugged. Baron's pull did no damage at all, and now it's going to do 300. So that... a 300 damage buff is a lot. I'm not sure Riot's really thinking that one through. Bug fixing it to actually deal damage, then also like tripling its damage in one patch is interesting. Fixed a bug that caused Volibear's passive attack speed scaling to not include adaptive or converted stats. That's interesting. Adaptive or converted? Converted. That must be for arena. I don't think you can convert. I don't think. Is there any way to convert not in arena? Like if you turn AD into AP, I don't. Yeah, that's got to be for arena. So that's an arena change. They probably figured that. Okay. They probably realized as they were doing arena. Okay, so I guess we're back to just generic skins. Last patch was good, now we're back to generico. Okay, so we got Fiddlesticks coming out. Okay. Looks cool enough. Blood Moon Zed, it's just Edge Zed. Honestly, I'm happy because Zed didn't have enough edgy skins. I know he's just the edgelord weeb champion, but like, Blood Moon Zyra. It's human Zyra again. You know, they don't really even pretend Zyra is a plant, do they? I suppose they didn't when they designed her in the first place. Let's look at the actual in-game. Fiddlesticks is actually looking hot. This is hot. The chromas are less hot. I feel like the deep coloring is what makes it look good, and like very few of these chromas actually do that. This one's using light coloring, light coloring, light coloring, light coloring, light coloring. This one's actually not that light. He has more light coloring, more light coloring. So like the only ones that are actually using like deep coloring are like the purple one, the orange one, which just doesn't look good. I don't like any of these chromas, I'll be honest. I like the base one and I kind of like the purple one. Other than that, like I kind of like the black and yellow one, but like it looks weird and janky. I don't like many of the chromas. The base model though, that one looks good. Blood Moon Zed, oh wow, it's Zed. He looks too big to be Zed. Zed's kind of a smaller dude because he's an assassin. He's meant to look physically smaller so you know that he's squishier. That's how it's always been. By the way, just for those of you who complain, that's also why Sejuani needed her rework, because Sejuani looked really skinny and small and didn't look tanky. He's not supposed to look this big, and yeah, it makes him look too tanky. Blood Moon Zyra wears more clothes than base Zyra, though I suppose they're trying to say she's a human, so it'd be weird if she was just kind of naked as a human, just walking around the battlefield. Dude, that's what I think of when I see the swimsuit Caitlyn. All the other swimsuit skins have like actual like things going on, and they just have Caitlyn showing up in an actual bikini on the battle, but like just an actual bikini. That skin's always been so weird to me. It's so out of place in League. Like the other swimsuit skin lines try to be like all like fashionable or something, and then Caitlyn just shows up in a bikini. Okay. That's it, only 3 skins. Fiddlesticks one's good. Zyra one's fine. It's like fine. I don't hate it. Zed one is boring. It's cool, but it's also boring. I don't know a better way to describe it. It's like safe edge. It's like edgy for safe. It's like if you want to be edgy, but you want to be really safe about it. And that's it. So, okay. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Special shout out to my Patreon members. If you want to support videos like this and you want to continue to support more patch notes and things like that, and me continue to do that, make sure to go to my Patreon and support this. Thank you to all my YouTube members, and thank you to all my cake subscribers. Thank you to everybody for subscribing to this channel as well. I've been mostly on my variety channel lately. You guys can go down Hashinshin Variety if you guys want to subscribe to that and see more of me. The reason I'm on that is because I'm just, sorry to say, but I'm kind of like tired of leagues. I'm just taking a little bit of a break right now. We're not quitting forever. I'm just taking a little bit of a break. These patches have just become like, mentally draining and exhausting. I'm sure maybe post MSI they'll start to actually work on stuff and improve the game. I'm sure eventually they'll start to work on like the actual solo queue experience. But for now, dude, like the best way to play solo queue is to turn off team chat. Like turn all chat off entirely because no one says anything productive. Sometimes you get good teams, I agree, sometimes you do and it's like funny, but like so many times like you even try to be like humorous in chat and everyone's just like grrr, oh everybody's inting me, you're inting me, I'm gonna report you, grrr, I'm gonna int you every game I get with you from now on, right? Like and even if it's not me, like other people will just bitch at other people. You'll just get people bitching each other. The AD carry is inting the support is inting the AD carry, the mid is inting the jungler. Everybody's mad all the time. The game is so like team oriented that like you can't even 1v1 top lane. Like starting 5 minutes forwards, you're getting, it's like jungler top, mid top, support top, jungler top, mid top, support top, right? Like it's not a pleasurable experience right now, League of Legends. It's not. And I realized while I was playing other non-league games and just chilling with people in chat and just having fun that like I feel like gaming can be fun and streaming can be fun and League of Legends is not fun. I feel like half the experience of a League of Legends stream at this point is just watching the streamer be miserable. Just like a sadistic experience where you just get to like sit there and go, haha, yes. You're just literally the sickos meme, just watching in there. Haha, yes, yes. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.